closing time, the library settles into its slower rhythm. The entrance doors remain locked behind dark glass. Low lights continue above the shelves. Farther inside the building, one reading lamp still glows near the back wall. Nothing inside the library feels unfinished. The quiet has already settled into the carpet and wood. A long aisle runs beside the history section beneath soft ceiling lights. The shelves remain perfectly still. Thin plastic labels reflect a faint line of light along their edges. No cart moves between the rows tonight. Near the circulation desk, a small monitor remains dark. Its screen reflects the empty reading floor without distortion. A barcode scanner rests beside the keyboard in its charging stand. Check-in, closed. Archive level, secure. No new message appears. The ventilation system continues somewhere above the ceiling panels. The sound remains low and even. It blends naturally into the stillness around the upper shelves. Nothing interrupts the balance of the room. Near the back tables, the final library lamp spreads a warm circle across polished wood. A closed notebook remains beside an empty chair. Its cover catches a soft reflection beneath the light. No page waits to be turned. Nothing asks to continue. Outside the tall windows, the parking lot remains empty beneath the night sky. Faint reflections drift across the glass from the interior lights. No headlights cross the pavement. The darkness outside feels settled and distant. A staircase near the archive section rises quietly toward the upper level. Small wall lights remain fixed beside each step. Their glow stays low against the metal railing. No footsteps reach the second floor. Farther along the reading area, a return cart remains parked beside the shelves. 3 books rest evenly across the top level. Their edges stay aligned beneath the soft overhead light. Nothing has been left in disorder. Time begins to soften across the library floor. One aisle gives way to another. The rows repeat slowly through the dim light. Dark shelves and pale walkways continue in calm patterns through the building. Nothing moves the night forward. A quiet mechanical click sounds once behind a storage wall. Not an alarm. Only a routine relay somewhere deeper in the system. Then the silence returns to its steady shape again. The lamp near the back table continues to glow without flickering. Its light reaches the edge of the notebook and stops there. Beyond it, the reading floor fades gradually into shadow. The room remains calm in every direction. A narrow service corridor continues behind the reference shelves. Low maintenance lights remain active near the floor line. Their reflections stretch softly across the polished surface. No door opens along the hallway. Outside the windows, the outline of trees remains almost motionless in the dark. A faint shift moves through the upper branches once. Then the shapes settle again beside the building. Nothing approaches the glass. The clock above the information desk continues its slow movement. Its hands shift almost invisibly beneath the dim ceiling lights. The sound of the mechanism stays buried beneath the airflow from the vents. Minutes no longer feel separate here. Near the archive door, a small metal plaque reflects a narrow line of light. Authorized staff only. The lettering remains perfectly clear against the brushed surface. latch turns beneath the handle. Rows of shelves continue beyond the reading floor into darker sections of the library. The upper stacks remain quiet beneath low, recessed lighting. Their shadows stay soft and unchanged. No book slips from its place. The empty chair near the final lamp remains slightly angled toward the table. The notebook stays closed. The polished wood reflects the same warm circle of light as before. Nothing in the arrangement needs to change. Farther back in the building, air continues through the ventilation system at the same measured pace. The sound moves gently above the archive level. It never rises beyond a quiet hum. Everything inside the library remains balanced. The reading floor grows softer as the night deepens around the building. The aisles lose their sharp edges beneath the low lighting. Dark shelves continue in long, silent lines beside the empty walkways. The structure of the library feels calm and settled, and the final lamp near the back wall continues to glow exactly as it has all night, warm against the darkened room, steady beside the silent shelves through the slow hours after closing time. Beyond the archive level, the deeper sections of the library remain softly lit beneath recessed ceiling panels. The aisles continue in long, quiet rows through the dark interior. Nothing changes the steady rhythm of the building. The final lamp near the reading tables still glows behind the shelves. A narrow walkway circles the upper floor above the main reading area. Metal railings remain cool beneath the low lights. Their shadows stretch quietly across the carpet below. No movement reaches the upper level tonight. Near the reference section, a small desk lamp remains switched off beside a stack of returned books. The covers stay closed beneath thin, protective film. A paper slip rests carefully between two volumes without shifting. Nothing has been left in a hurry. Far below, the circulation desk remains dark except for one small status light beneath the counter. Security system active. The glow remains steady against the polished floor tiles. No second indicator appears beside it. Outside the windows, the night air stays completely still around the library walls. The parking lot remains empty beneath pale overhead lights. No vehicle enters from the distant road. The darkness beyond the glass feels deep and undisturbed. A soft hum continues through the ceiling ventilation above the archive corridor. The airflow remains even from vent to vent. No pressure change moves through the system. Everything inside the building stays balanced. Near the back shelves, the final reading lamp spreads warm light across the same section of polished wood. The notebook beside it remains closed. The empty chair has not shifted from its place. Nothing asks to be reopened now. The upper stacks continue into darker sections beyond the visible aisles. Low shelf markers remain readable beneath small overhead lights. Thin labels reflect faint lines of gold and white along the edges. No hand reaches between the rows. Time moves differently inside the library after midnight. The aisles repeat themselves in quiet patterns. Shadows remain soft beneath the shelves. The structure of the building begins to feel larger and slower than the passing hours outside. Nothing presses the night forward. A maintenance corridor near the lower archive level remains sealed behind a gray metal door. Its narrow viewing window reflects only the dim ceiling lights. No sound comes from the other side. Archive storage secured. The lettering remains clear beneath the polished surface. Farther along the upper walkway, a row of study tables rests beneath suspended lights. Each chair remains carefully aligned beside the wood surfaces. Their shadows fall evenly across the carpet. Nothing interrupts the arrangement. A quiet mechanical relay clicks once somewhere near the rear offices. Not a warning. Only part of the building continuing its routine through the night. Then the silence settles smoothly again. Near the history shelves, a small framed map hangs beneath a narrow ceiling light. Its glass surface reflects faint shapes from the empty reading floor. The frame remains perfectly still against the wall. No draft reaches this part of the building. The final library lamp continues to hold its steady glow behind the rows of books. Its light softens the edge of the nearby shelves. Beyond the circle of warmth, the aisles fade gently into shadow. The room remains calm in every direction. Outside the windows, the outline of distant trees stays motionless beneath the night sky. A faint reflection drifts across the glass from somewhere deeper inside the building. Then the surface becomes still again. Nothing approaches from outside. Near the circulation counter, a small wall clock continues its slow movement above the darkened desk. Its hands shift almost invisibly beneath the ceiling lights. The sound remains buried beneath the ventilation hum. Minutes spread wider across the quiet floors. A narrow aisle near the archive section remains completely empty. Book spines form dark, repeating lines beneath the low lights. The shelves continue farther than the eye follows comfortably in the dimness. Nothing breaks the order of the rows. Somewhere above the ceiling panels, airflow moves steadily through the upper vents. The sound never changes pace. It remains soft enough to disappear into the background of the library. Everything continues exactly as expected. The notebook beside the final lamp remains closed on the polished wood table. The chair remains empty beside it. The warm circle of light stays fixed against the dark reading floor. No page turns. No new sound enters the room. The deeper hours of the night settle fully around the building now. The aisles soften beneath the dim lighting. The shelves continue quietly through the still interior, like long, unmoving corridors. And the final lamp near the back of the library continues exactly as it has all night, steady beside the empty chair. The lower archive corridor remains quiet beneath its recessed lights. Long shadows rest between the storage shelves without shifting. Farther back in the building, the final library lamp still glows beyond the reading floor. Nothing inside the library feels unfinished tonight. A narrow service passage continues behind the biography section near the rear wall. Small maintenance lights remain active near the floor. Their reflections stretch softly across the polished surface beside the shelves. No door opens along the corridor. The ventilation system maintains the same low hum above the archive level. Air continues evenly through the narrow ceiling vents. The sound blends into the stillness until it almost disappears completely. everything inside the building stays balanced. Near the upper stacks, rows of older volumes rest beneath dim overhead lights. Dark covers line the shelves in long repeating patterns. Thin labels remain visible along the lower edges of the spines. No book has shifted from its place. Outside the tall windows, the parking lot remains empty beneath pale exterior lights. The glass reflects quiet sections of shelving from deeper inside the building. No headlights pass near the entrance. The darkness outside remains distant and calm. Farther along the reading floor, the final lamp continues to spread warm light across the wooden table. The notebook remains closed beside the empty chair. A pencil rests near the edge of the polished surface without rolling. Nothing waits to be written now. Time moves slowly through the library after midnight. The aisles repeat one after another beneath the low ceiling lights. Dark shelves and pale walkways continue through the quiet interior in soft, familiar patterns. Nothing asks the mind to follow a direction. Near the circulation desk, a small security panel remains active beneath the counter. Entry lock, active. Lower archive, secure. The indicators stay steady without flickering. No additional signal appears beside them. A soft mechanical click sounds once from somewhere near the lower offices. Not an alarm. Only part of the nighttime system continuing as expected. Then the quiet settles fully again. The carpet along the central walkway softens every edge of sound. Even the ventilation hum feels distant here. Nothing moves between the reading tables. The building remains deeply at rest. Near the history section, a framed photograph hangs beneath a narrow ceiling light. Its glass surface reflects faint shapes from the shelves opposite the wall. The frame remains perfectly still above the dark carpet. No draft reaches the corridor. Far above the reading floor, the upper walkway curves gently beside the archive stacks. Small wall lights remain evenly spaced along the railing. Their glow stays low against the quiet metal surface. No footsteps cross the upper level tonight. The final library lamp continues to hold the same steady warmth against the darkened room. Its light fades softly before reaching the nearest aisle. Beyond it, the rows of shelves disappear gradually into shadow. Nothing disturbs the arrangement around the table. Outside the windows, the outline of distant trees remains almost motionless beneath the night sky. A faint movement touches a branch once near the edge of the parking lot. Then the shapes settle back into stillness again. Nothing approaches the building. Near the archive staircase, a small sign remains fixed beside the wall. Staff access only. The lettering stays clear beneath the recessed light above it. No handle shifts beneath the closed door. The deeper sections of the library continue in long, silent rows beyond the reading floor. Shelf numbers repeat quietly through the dim interior. The patterns begin to feel slower than ordinary time. Minutes no longer separate themselves clearly here. A narrow strip of floor lighting remains active near the lower archive shelves. Its pale glow follows the base of the wall in one continuous line. The polished floor reflects the light without distortion. Nothing crosses the corridor. Near the back wall, The empty chair remains angled slightly toward the final reading lamp. The notebook stays closed beside it. The pencil has not moved from the polished surface. Nothing about the scene asks to change. The ventilation system continues at the same measured pace above the ceiling panels. Air moves softly through the upper vents near the archive level. The sound remains low enough to disappear behind the silence of the shelves. Everything continues exactly as expected. Farther back in the building, long aisles remain still beneath soft overhead lighting. Dark shelves continue beside empty walkways in quiet repeating lines. The structure of the library feels calm, ordered, and undisturbed. No section of the building feels abandoned, only resting quietly through the night. The final lamp near the back reading table continues to glow softly against the darkened room. The notebook remains closed beside the empty chair. Warm light rests across the polished wood without changing shape. Outside the windows, the night stays calm around the silent building. And deep inside the quiet rows of shelves, the library continues exactly as it has for hours. Steady, softly lit, and completely undisturbed. A faint line of light remains along the edge of the upper walkway. It touches the metal rail, then falls softly onto the carpet below. The shelves do not seem separate now. They feel like one quiet shape held inside the building. Below, the final lamp continues to glow beside the back reading table. Its shade gives the wood a warm, steady circle. The closed notebook rests partly inside it, partly in shadow. No page waits, no chair moves. Somewhere near the rear office, the air system eases through another slow cycle. The sound does not rise. It only deepens for a moment, then returns to the same low hum. The library accepts the small change without reaction. Outside the glass, the parking lot remains empty. A pale security light touches one corner of the pavement. Nothing crosses it. The rows stay ordered. The doors stay locked. The lamp stays on. And the building keeps its quiet shape around the shelves. Quiet, steady, and undisturbed as the night continues after closing time.